ControlLogic's Maintainer Certificate Chapter 6. Downloading, uploading, and going online with the ControlLogic's controller. Our objectives in this chapter will be exactly that. We'll download and go online, and then upload a project from a controller. In this tutorial, I'm going to be using an emulated processor to simulate a real processor. Let's open RS Emulate. We'll just type in emulate. Now we have our emulated setup running. We have a processor in slot 2, digital inputs in slot 3, and digital outputs in slot 4. Again, an emulated processor is just a virtual processor that is simulated on our PC instead of a real one out in a chassis somewhere wired to a bunch of real-world I/O. Let's open up the properties of the inputs and outputs so we can interact with that data. Let's talk about what it means to go online with a processor, as well as downloading to or uploading from a processor. Currently, if we look in our online toolbar, we can see that we're offline. That means we're not connected. Any changes that occur over here in our virtual processor aren't going to be reflected in our development environment. Let's open our controller tags. I want to monitor a tag, so I'm going to click on the Monitor Tags tab, and I'm going to highlight the address that corresponds with input 0. It's currently off. I'm going to click that to turn it on, which should set the value to 1. But since I'm not connected and I'm not online, we can see that value doesn't change. If we want to monitor anything, including inputs, or any information that's going on in our processor, we need to be online. So let's connect to our virtual processor. I'm going to go to Communications, Who Active, and then to this virtual backplane driver that allows us to connect to our emulated processor. I'm going to click Go Online. Let's see what happens. Oh no, a warning box. What's going on? It says, condition, the open project has offline changes that aren't in the controller. What do? Do we want to upload, download, select file, or cancel? Uploading and downloading can be very confusing for new programmers because superficially it seems backwards of what we're used to. Think about a device connected to the internet. Downloading means to bring a file from a remote server to your device, and uploading means taking a local file from that device and placing it on the remote server. In the controls world, however, uploading and downloading is from the perspective of the PLC processor, not the laptop. What does that mean? This means if you want to take the project that's currently running in this PLC and bring it to your computer, you would need to upload. But if you want to take a project that you've written on your laptop and transfer it to the PLC program to run, then you need to download. Again, I know this can be confusing, but it might help to think of yourself as the programmer, as a deity floating up above it all. If you want to take the file that you've written on your lofty laptop and you want to push that file down into this lowly PLC processor, well, then you need to download to it. But if you want to take these little files on that lowly little processor and bring them up to you in your position of glory, well, then you would upload. Let's imagine that I want to capture the program that's in this processor and transfer it to my computer. Well, that's a really wise decision. If you're in a factory and you want to make changes, of course you want to upload the program first and save a backup, so when the changes you're making end up ruining everything, you can at least put it back to the way it was. So I'm going to upload. And it says, you have some changes that you've made in your project over here. Do you want to save the changes? In this case, I don't because I didn't make any important changes. So I'll click No. It's currently uploading the program from that processor. And when it does, I can see a change of state over here in my online toolbar. What used to say offline now says remote run. That means it sees the running mode of this processor and it's reflecting that to me. That's a great indication that I'm not offline anymore. Let's open the main program and see what's going on in the main routine. Here we have a simple rung of logic. This input slot 3.0, which is over here, will turn on our output in slot 4.0. Well, let's see if it works. Let's click this virtual input to turn it on. And over here we see the instruction is highlighted green. That means that it can see that it's currently a true condition in Studio 5000 because we're online. And we can see that the rung of logic does in fact turn on the output in slot 4.0. And down here we can see that highlighted. Well, there's another way that I can see those inputs turning on. I'm going to go to my controller tags and find the address for the input. I'll be monitoring, so I want to go to the Monitor Tags tab. And I can see that that particular input is in a state of 1, indicating true or on. Let's try to turn on another input. I'm going to turn on input 1. And over here we see that that as well has gone from a state of 0 to 1. Wow, I'm currently online with my processor, monitoring data, and everything's great. Well, what's the right procedure to disconnect from the processor, and why would we disconnect? Let's say it's time to go back to the hotel for the night, or you find Target is having a huge sale on leotards, or just the work is complete and you need to head to the next startup or service call. Well, we can go to the online toolbar and go to Go Offline. Now I'm disconnected from the processor. We see over here that my inputs are still on and we can toggle them, but that change of state is no longer reflected in my monitoring window. Be very aware of whether or not you are online or offline. You have no idea how often programmers can sit in the factory bashing their face against the laptop for 3 hours wondering, why am I not getting data from the most recent changes that I made to the code, only to find out that at some point in time they went offline and they're looking at nothing. It'll happen to you, I promise. Let's say that while we're offline with our processor, we decide to make our code do something different with an edit. I'm going to change this piece of logic. Currently, input 3.0 turns on output 4.0. And I've decided to add a branch to make an OR statement to allow input 3.1 to energize it as well. Why not? This change is arbitrary just for the demonstration of an edit. Okay, we're currently offline, and I can see that I can still turn on output 4.0 using input 3.0. But if I turn on the newly added input 3.1, it does not work because I haven't downloaded the changes yet. So let's go ahead and download those changes. I'm going to go to Communications, go to Who Active, and select my processor, and click Download. Well, before the project actually downloads, we get a warning screen. What does this say? This says that my controller is currently in remote run mode. The mode will be changed to remote program. Well, that means that that processor is going to stop running or stop executing code. Whether the machine is a palletizer in a factory or a hydrogen furnace in some kind of weird foundry, that machine will stop, perhaps disastrously. So make sure that you're in a safe state first. Once you are in a safe state, we can click Download, and the program will begin to download. We can see that the run indication on the processor turns off, meaning that it is not executing code. Would you like to go back to remote run? Well, yes, I would. I would like to execute this code, so I want to be in run mode. We can see we're in run mode. And now I'd like to test my code. I've added slot 3.1. Turning that on should turn on output 4.0, and it does. Excellent. Once I'm satisfied my code works, I can go to my online toolbar and go offline.